There are two strategies for trying to do better. First is to actually improve the stuff coming through the pipeline. And the second strategy is improving the capacity for criticizing what's coming through, identifying the problems and calling them out. Public humiliation, if possible. Every organization wants to be trusted. The government wants to be trusted. The universities want to be trusted. We want to be trusted. Don't aim to increase trust. That's the wrong objective. You should not be trying to make people trust you. You should be aimed to demonstrate trustworthiness. People must be able to assess that trustworthiness. Information should be accessible and accessible. We've got to help people to make sense of what we're doing. Two ways our minds work. One is what you call system one. This is the non-conscious way of thinking. Gut feeling, the thinking fast, the automatic, rapid, completely without conscious thought way of thinking. So system two is the conscious, thinking slow, effortful, controlled. And you could say that a lot of what the centre's about is trying to shift people a little bit from there to there. If you tell someone about climate change, about fracking, about GM foods, about contested things, and it conflicts with their worldview, what you say may be ignored or even backfire. You need to understand different views, because if you tell somebody, correct somebody, it can make them believe what they think even worse. You can shift their opinion if you preempt the misunderstanding. You treat them with their opinion with respect. You don't dismiss it. You don't say they're stupid. You just point out the possible misunderstandings. And this is known as inoculation. If you give people a little bit of fake news and then show them how it's wrong, when they hear the big stuff, they'll say, ah, I see what they're doing. That's more to shift myths rather than just yesterday's news, and take a longer campaign, more of a long-term process. You can't just demolish them like the burnt toast, which just disappeared overnight. Another way is just to improve the way numbers are communicated. One should be humble enough to admit uncertainty. You've got to engage with press officers and the media. You don't wait for them to come to you. You have to go out and make friends with journalists if you want to get your message across. You've got to work at it. Public audiences. You've got to be really clear about your impartiality. You mustn't have an agenda that you want to push. You shouldn't be telling people what to do. You should be telling people how it is. And I think, we've been working with the BBC, developing guidelines and training for journalists and so on and so on. The very way in which we communicate our science could be done better to make it more, make it a better story. Assessment of trustworthiness. So there's stuff coming down, but there should be people checking it, critiquing it, criticizing it, calling it out if it's wrong. What about individual members of the public being able to criticize the stuff they hear? There's three things one should be thinking about all the time when you hear some claim being made, some scientific claim. From anybody, it could be from a charity, it doesn't have to be from a scientific paper. It's about the research. Where does the number come from? Does it have internal validity, to use a phrase? Where does the number come from? Does the number itself that's being claimed, is it reliable? Then, what about the interpretation of the number, the conclusions? And that's often the number can be roughly right, but people tell completely the wrong story. Then, trustworthiness of the source and what we're being told. The community. This is basically who's doing this. Can we trust actually who's in charge of this? Helping people critique. Can we train people spotting fake news or something like that? First Draft is the American fact-checking organization. They've just invented this. It's a scale from real, complete fabrication, an utter lie, demonstrable lie. Now, those are actually quite rare in numbers, because they're so easily checked, called out. Those are quite rare. At the other end is just people telling a joke, being funny. But between those, you've got these various stages. This is when you fiddle the pictures, putting up a photograph of one thing, saying it was another, impersonating genuine sources. The number's right, but false contextual information. Misleading use of information to frame an issue or individual, and when headlines, visuals, or captions don't support the content. Here's a nice one, how to spot fake news. So there's little things you could do, check how you feel about it. If your emotions are aroused, in other words, you feel very angry, it's probably wrong. It means somebody is trying to manipulate your emotions, so check how you feel about it. So, to conclude, to improve trustworthiness in numbers, you need accessible and assessable evidence and improved ability to assess the trustworthiness. So that's it. It's to do with trust, and we can work on it.